Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome to today's live discussion from Bhagavad Gita as it is. We are covering the 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita as it is, the three modes of material nature. And so far we have covered the 15th verses of this chapter. And we shall cover from verses 16 to verses 21 today. So let us begin. Hukam karati vachalam pangum langhate girim yat kripatamam vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. Verse 16. Karmana sukritasyahu satvikam nirmalam phalam rajasastu phalam dukkham jnanam tamasah phalam. The result of pious action is pure and is said to be in the mode of goodness, but action done in the mode of passion results in misery, and action performed in the mode of ignorance results in foolishness. Verse 17. Bhavatamaso bhavato jnanamevacha. From the mode of goodness, real knowledge develops. From the mode of passion, greed develops. And from the mode of ignorance develops foolishness, madness, and illusion. Verse 18. Urdhavam gacchanti sattvastha madhye tishthanti rajasaha jaganya guna vrittistha adho gacchanti tamasaha. Those situated in the mode of goodness gradually go upward to the higher planets. Those in the mode of passion live on the earthly planets. And those in the abominable mode of ignorance go down to the hellish worlds. Verse 19. Nanyam gunebhya kartaram yada drishtanupashyati gunebhya cha param veti madbhavam sodigacchati. When one properly sees that in all activities no other performer is at work than these modes of nature, and he knows the Supreme Lord, who is transcendental to all these modes, he attains my spiritual nature. Verse 20. Guna neta natiya tityatrin dehi deha samudbhavan janam mrityu jara dukkhair vimukto mritam shunute. When the embodied being is able to transcend these three modes associated with the material body, he can become free from birth, death, old age, and their distresses, and can enjoy nectar even in this life. Verse 21. Kairalinga strina Arjunuvacha Kairalingena strina guna netan tito bhavati prabho kimacharah katham chaitam strina gunanati vartate. Arjun inquired, O my dear Lord, by which symptoms is one known who is transcendental to these three modes? What is his behavior, and how does he transcend the modes of nature? So it's all about the three modes of the material nature, that is the goodness, passion, and ignorance, sattva, rajas, and the tamas gun. These three gunas or the modes are like ropes which are binding us to this world, and Krishna has told us through Arjun that we can use these three modes to our advantage as well. We don't have to be puppets in their hands. We can work them to our advantage. This is how we have to use our intelligence, how to get the best of the three modes during our lifetime. The reincarnation can be progressive or regressive according to the desire of the soul. So if you want to progress in your next life, in the next journey of your soul, so you can make sure that you don't go beyond the mode of goodness. So you live in goodness, so at least then you will be able to do your bhakti, so that you don't have to go to the lower species of life in your subsequent births. So after having gained this knowledge, we all should remember that we don't have to become subservient to these modes, but rather we have to make them to work for our own advantage in our life. Bhagwan says in verse 16 that the result of the pious action is pure and is said to be in the mode of goodness. Action in mode of passion results in misery or distress, and the action performed in the mode of ignorance results in foolishness. So if somebody is situated in mode of goodness, their activities will be all in the mode of goodness. The sages who are free from all illusion are situated in happiness. The ones who are engaged in mode of passion are always miserable because they are putting too much effort, they are putting too much endeavor in their activities, and they are constantly looking for happiness, and material happiness is not going to give us the eternal happiness. It is going to make us feel unhappy and unfulfilled, because all the happiness in this world is just momentarily. It is there while it is there, but afterwards you feel empty. For example, buying yourself a lot of material goods from the shops, going for sales and buying this and that, and just following the desires of your body and mind, that is not going to fulfill you. And how much good food we will eat. Once we are full, when our stomachs are full, we don't want to know even the best of the food which is being served to us, or it's is there to buy or to enjoy. So when we go outside in parties, for example, it's nice. People enjoy one party, maybe two, but slowly you get fed up, because that doesn't make you feel fulfilled. After attending such an event, you feel more empty. So the material happiness is nothing compared to the transcendental happiness. When you have tasted the transcendental happiness, this means nothing, because it's only temporary, just like the temporary bodies given to us by Lord and the temporary abode where we are situated. We are in this abode until we are alive, and once our time is up, all this is going to be left behind by us. So person in mode of passion is trying too hard and still is unhappy, and the person in mode of ignorance, for example, is killing animals, slaughtering them, and what do they get? After this life, they will be probably coming as those animals which they have killed in this life. So this is the law of the nature. Even in the society, if somebody is killing another fellow citizens, he is given the punishment to be hanged till death or something like that, or we can call it the capital punishment. So this is the law even in the society. So never mind the laws of the spiritual world. So they are even stricter. If we are sowing bad, we will be given the bad results as well. In the Vedic literature, there is the prayer we say to Govinda or Krishna. Namo Brahmanaya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagadhitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. My Lord, you are the well-wisher of the cows and the Brahmanas, and you are the well-wisher of the entire human society and the world. This is from Vishnu Puran 1.19.65. That the prayer for the protection of the cows and the Brahmanas. The Brahmanas are the symbol of spiritual education, and the cows are the symbol of the most valuable food, which goes without saying. And so these two creatures have to be revered a lot. in the human society. But in the modern human society, we see both these are neglected. Now, in mode of passion, we see more of what we don't have rather than what we have. So person in the mode of passion is never going to be happy. He or she is constantly going to see what they don't have in their life. And this way, what is going to happen is something will be always always missing from everyone's life. So if you keep looking at what your neighbor has and what you don't have, that comparison is going to make you constantly unhappy. So a person in the mode of passion is constantly going to be unhappy. So if he has made XYZ sum of for example money, he'll be looking to multiply it constantly, and this way, in the mode of passion, you are not going to be satisfied with your present life circumstances. So from mode of goodness, real knowledge develops. From the mode of passion, greed develops. And from the mode of ignorance, foolishness, madness and illusion, that develops. So bhakti will only start after one is situated in goodness. Goodness is not enough. Actually, pure goodness is needed. Then the bhakti begins. When you start following the rules and regulations told by Lord, and in the Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam and the Vedas, and also get guided by your own spiritual master, who is going to lead you from the level of pure goodness to bhakti, who is going to help you begin your bhakti or the devotional service. So as you become Krishna conscious, as you see Krishna's hand in everything around you, and even in your whole life, even in your own creation, then you will see that you'll find the real fulfillment living in this world, in your own circumstances, in your own situation, however God has put us into, thanks to our past karmas. So at least we know that now, and we can try our best to improve our present condition and advance our level of bhakti and advance our level of spiritual knowledge, and gradually make ourselves eligible to serve Krishna in Golok Vrindavan. So a person in pure goodness is going to take shelter of Bhagwan. A person in mode of passion, what he or she is going to do is not going to be happy. Even they think that they're going to be very happy by working very hard for what they want, because constantly they will be hankering for something or other. A person in mode of ignorance will be constantly further distressed. At least a person in passion will be sometimes happy, sometimes not happy. A person in ignorance is constantly going to be unhappy. They are going to make themselves intoxicated, and so they are going to make themselves further into darkness or further into ignorance. So we have to understand that how we are being controlled by these three modes of material nature. What does mode of goodness does to us? At least in mode of goodness, you can think good. You can think good for yourself. How to keep your thoughts, your activities, your life pure. Work for the purity. And in verse 18, Bhagwan is saying that those situated in the mode of goodness gradually go upward to the higher planets. Those in the mode of passion live on the earthly planets, and those in the abominable mode of ignorance go down to the hellish worlds. So in this verse, the results of the three modes are explained. The ones who are in mode of goodness, they are going to advance and go to the higher planets, like we were speaking yesterday, to the Brahmaloka or the Janaloka. And the ones who will be in in passion, they are going to have mixed results, because sometimes they could be their results will be between the modes of passion and goodness and ignorance as well. Their results, that person is not always pure, because that person is situated in the mode of passion, is always going to be coming back to the earth as a rich man, or maybe as a king, or if he's going to do mixed activities, then he might sink down to the lower planets and go down to the lower species, which is not nice to hear at all. And the ones who are totally in mode of ignorance, they are definitely going to become one of the other 8.4 million species of life. Could be birds, could be beasts, could be reptiles, trees, and so on. So their future is dark. In verse 19, Bhagwan says that when one properly sees that in all activities no other performer is at work other than these modes of nature, and he knows the Supreme Lord, who is transcendental to all these modes, he attains my spiritual nature. So when one is seeing without any bias, he or she can see that their activities are actually being controlled by the modes of material nature, goodness, passion, or ignorance. And sometimes they are even mixed. It could be passion and goodness is sometimes it could be passion and ignorance. Sometimes could be ignorance and ignorance. So there can be some probabilities as well drawn from these three. And the one who can see that the modes are controlling their activities, they can understand Bhagwan properly, and Bhagwan is above these three modes of material nature. That person is going to attain, Bhagwan says, my spiritual nature. And that person can do the devotional service to Krishna, and that person can become fixed in Krishna consciousness fully. And we have already read in 7th chapter that the one who surrenders to Krishna is actually freed from the activities of material nature. They are able to see things as they are, as it is, and the influence of the material nature gradually stops working on them. Verse 20, Bhagwan says, when the embodied being is able to transcend these three modes associated with the material body, he can become free from birth, death, old age, and distresses, and can enjoy nectar even in this life. So these three modes of material nature work on anyone once they have the material body. Our souls, they don't get influenced by these three. It's our bodies which suffer the results of the activities of these three modes of material nature. And the one who is in the material body, and by his spiritual knowledge, one who has advanced, can become free from these three modes, goodness, passion, or ignorance. Because to be in the goodness is not good enough. You have to be in the pure goodness to start your bhakti. So we have to strive to be on the pure goodness level, so that our bhakti can commence, so that we can become conscious of Krishna, so we can become Krishna Bhavanamrita. So once you start serving Lord, then you can start enjoying the spiritual happiness even while you are situated in this body itself. Which will be explained further in chapter 18, which is the last chapter of Bhagavad Gita. when you are freed from the modes of material nature, you enter into devotional service or the performance of the bhakti to Bhagwan. Verse 21, Arjun says, actually he is asking, "O my dear Lord, by which symptoms is one known who is transcendental to these three modes? What is his behavior and how does he transcend the modes of nature?" So Arjun is asking a very worthy question, and which is very important for all of us. And his questions are wonderful. And in the previous verse, yes, Bhagwan said clearly, I think I didn't just say that line, that freedom from the material body means freedom from the death, old age, birth, and all the problems of life. They go away when one transcends the modes of material nature, when one is starting to enjoy the pure goodness mode in his life, and then they can even enjoy the happiness even while living in this body. So in verse 21, Arjun's asking the question, and he is inquiring that what is the symptoms, what is the symptoms, what is the characteristics of a transcendental person who can, how can one understand that he has already gone beyond the influence of the transcend, or gone beyond the influence of the modes of material nature? The second question he's asking is how he lives and how his activities are. Are they regulated or non-regulated? Is he following regulations or he's not following? And Arjun is also inquiring by the means by which he can attain the transcendental nature. So unless one knows the direct means how we can achieve these, there is no possibility of even having any kinds of symptoms or characteristics of this person who has gone beyond the three modes. So these questions will be answered in the subsequent verses, which we will continue next time. Thank you for joining. Hare Krishna. Hari Om Tat Sat.